For decades after the first foundation was laid, thousands of people continued to come to Altoona seeking a new life. Many immigrated from across Europe, and with that, they brought their cultures and traditions with them. They integrated with the others who came with the same dreams and ideas, and they gave life to the vibrant city that was once a farming pasture.
Well, the Pennsylvania Railroad has founded Altoona. And when they founded it in 1849, they obviously were going to build their repair shops here at the time, and were looking for employees. And so they physically recruited 3 groups of immigrants to come and be their employees. They recruited the Germans, who were well known for their precision and adeptness at making machinery and utilizing it in the shops. They recruited Italians, who were very well known for their work with cement and mortar and building, so they could build the stone arch bridges that the railroad needed to cross the rivers and streams. And they brought the Irish because they were hard workers and muscular, and they could use the pick and the axe and maybe a little dynamite and blast through the mountains to build places like the Horseshoe Curve. So that was the initial group that came. And then in the late 19th century, in the 1800s, 1880s, groups of East Europeans came seeking employment. And these groups came from Eastern Europe and from Russia. And they settled here. And many of them went to work in the railroad shops. And that was a second influx of Jewish immigrants, these from Eastern Europe, and they joined the German immigrants that were already here, and they also opened up businesses. And then we had another influx of immigrants in the 1900s, early 1900s. These were the Italians, late 1800s, early 1900s, and they came and they both opened up businesses, little restaurants and so forth, and also worked in the railroad shops. So they came for employment and to also be employers. And then in 1920 was the large immigration, because immigration was being restricted by the government. So the last big year for immigrants to come in was 1920, 21. And large groups of Italians again, and this time Greeks and people from the Middle East. Syria and Lebanon came, and they essentially did not work in the railroad shops. They opened up their own private businesses, usually restaurants. Many of the Greeks went into the theater business and opened up movie theaters, as did some of the early Jewish families. And most of those from the Middle East opened restaurants. So these groups all helped make Altoona a big melting pot. They depended on the railroad for their businesses, and the railroad depended on them for their employees. So it was a nice symbiosis. So there was a lot going on with the immigrants when they came here. They really built a lot of this town. This was later reflected in the fact that Altoona was known as the city of churches. It had a church virtually on every corner, but the church architecture was absolutely beautiful because there were so many denominations, large and small, and the buildings were just wonderful pieces of architecture. The churches started building as early as 1853, and that was like three years after the city really got settled. And 5 of them, in the first decade or so, were built on Gospel Hill. Now, many people don't realize Gospel Hill is a very large hill in downtown Altoona, and it stretches from the top of the hill, where today there's a very large flagpole, but it goes down to virtually to the railroad tracks. And the railroad was instrumental tangentially for that. The engineer, Mr. Wright, who was hired by the railroad to lay out this area, purchased plots of land in West Altoona. That's the part of Altoona on the present-day downtown side of the tracks. And in order to get people to move there, 5 churches were built. And that's how it gets its name, Gospel Hill.